Okay, we're going to go over the MTA board meeting that happened today. The comments on it. This is actually my second. They really buried this in here. You really had to look for it. But this is they put this all in one meeting, 5 hours and 37 minutes. Obviously, we're not going to listen to the whole thing. But we're going to go over the speakers, obviously. Let's... why is this... Oh, here we go.
Here. Commissioner...
Okay, so... They're still holding this meeting remotely, all right? So the deal is they still hold it remotely in the office right here at MTA headquarters, but the public is not welcome here. They're still not allowing the public in, which I think is ridiculous. It's still all rolled into one meeting, no committees. It's all rolled into one meeting with... Pat Floyd loves this because it just gives him so much more power. So the meeting is held on Wednesday, but the comments that I made and my colleagues made were made on Monday at noon and recorded in advance. You can't do it live, which violates probably numerous rules. And again, these people think that they're above the law here, especially Mr. Pat Foy. He thinks he can just do whatever he wants. And the thing here is that you'll notice that, whoops, what the hell just happened? I apologize for that. I really do apologize for that. Let's get this back here.
We can expect public meetings.
So let's get to the beginning of this. I do apologize.
We ask that all public speakers adhere to the MTA's...
So we all called, before I even get started, I called it just around 10 when it opened up. Well, I went onto the site and registered right at the time it opened up. All right. But you'll see that I was probably pretty far in, and my colleague and president of Passengers United, he got bumped again to the end, and we know why this is happening. This is being done on purpose. They say it's an order of first come, first serve, but you'll notice who always gets to speak first all the time. It's a certain demographic. It's people who represent a certain demographic that always get to speak first. You'll see that.
Of conduct and decorum.
You'll see who gets to speak first.
I would also like to remind our public speakers that in the interest of time and fairness to all speakers, we limit everyone to 2 minutes. Please be aware that there will be a warning beep to remind you that you have 30 seconds to conclude your remarks.
It's very hard to go through this.
Thank you for your patience and understanding throughout the virtual public comment session. Our first speaker is Rachel Foss.
Of course.
Good morning. I'm Rachel Foss, the Senior Research Analyst at Raven Albany.
Sure.
We advocate for more transparent and accountable New York government, including for authorities like the MTA. First, it's time for the MTA to appoint its traffic mobility.
All right.
The most congested city in America. We cannot reach our emissions reductions goals.
So you could see.
Metro North.
All right.
And,
let me go to Matt.
Expect public meetings to be held.
Lisa Daglian.
And when the TMRB will be appointed and using under what criteria. We'd also like it.
We don't need to listen to her.
We're putting.
I'm trying to get to Matt here. Let's do Matt.
Railroad line.
Well, I'm trying.
Compliment.
It's very hard because it's.
Will help.
All right, I'm trying. It's very hard.
Help.
Very hard.
Will say.
Speaker is Matt Camper.
Good morning, MTA board. My name is Matt Camper, and I am the Vice President of Passengers United. I have a couple of items to address this month. First of all, the news this past week on Monday regarding the Long Island Railroad wanting to do an initiative program to have battery-operated trains. I am in complete support of this. This, I do feel, as one of my other fellow public speakers said, will, I feel, reduce the environment. It will save the planet. And most of all, it will help people such as on the Oyster Bay branch, the Port Jefferson branch, be able to get one-seat rides to and from Penn Station, New York, which I think is such a great benefit to riders. And this will help riders. And I believe this will change the way that riders use the Long Island Railroad for years to come. I really commend LIRR President Phil Eng on this initiative. I wish the railroad the best of luck on this initiative. I really hope this is a huge success. This is such a great way to continue to lead the way in the industry. This is the first in North America, and I completely support that. Second of all, I want to address the new destination displays that were put in place last month. I absolutely loved it. The information that is put out there on the destination displays is going to be great for riders. It really is going to be able to make riders not have to use the train time app. They could just look at the signs at the stations and, this is another way that the railroad is leading the way. And, I hope to see the railroad continue to do that. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is John Michno.
I cannot believe that in 2021, I have to make this speech. Let
me just get started here, right? That's me speaking. And first of all, I wanted to just address Matt's comments before I went to mine. But Matt, great job, Matt, talking about battery. They're going to try battery operated trains. So what they're going to do is try to retrofit M7s. I put this up here before with batteries. So we have battery operated cars like Teslas. Why not battery operated trains? So this way, you can have an M7 go on the Oyster Bay branch. It's going to be on the Oyster Bay and the Port Jefferson branch first. They're going to test this out, this concept where you can have a battery powering the train when it's outside of third rail territory. So what this would do is this would free up the diesel equipment, obviously, to be used on longer runs. Because the battery-operated trains are probably going to be best on the shorter diesel runs like Oyster Bay and Port Jefferson. And what they'll be able to do is charge it. They'll be able to charge when they get to the terminal, maybe charge off a third rail, and then run on battery power. So when they leave the, when they go to the Bay line, for instance, after it makes that turn onto the north of Mineola, it's going to run on battery power. So you can have an M7 running all the way to Oyster Bay versus a diesel, and that'll free up diesel equipment for other lines that need it, like the Montauk branch and maybe the Greenport line as well. This is a good concept, and it also is another way. We could also have battery-operated trains also, which they didn't even bring up, running down the main line and then going to Babylon. And maybe they could bring this concept to Patchogue, too, as well. This could be a future idea. We don't know if this is going to work yet. It's a concept. But if it does work, this could help sort of, in a way, electrify all the diesel branches in the end, and a way electric service can be provided throughout the railroad, and we would just be running electric cars. And I love the C3s too, but they are getting old, and eventually they will have to be retired. We are going to have to think of some other solution than maybe buying more diesel equipment, especially when we've got to reduce our greenhouse gas emissions, and those diesel locomotives produce a lot of greenhouse gas. So now we'll go to my comments, and I pretty much tell it like it is here about when it comes to the situation with the discrimination, and I get right to the point. So I'm next, and I think I do a great job. I pat myself on the back for that. More people need to really get to the bottom of things like I do. So here I am.
Speaker is Matt Camper.
Oops, I'm sorry.
Good morning, MTA board. My name is
differently.
Oh my God. I'm sorry for the glitch.
I'm looking at.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry for the. I'm sorry for the glitch. I really am sorry for this glitching. YouTube makes it very hard. You see what's going on here? I can't.
And this is.
I really apologize for this, guys. I really apologize for all these glitches.
And this is another way that the railroad is leading the way. And I hope this
is John Michno.
I cannot believe that in 2021, I have to make this speech. I'm looking at LIRR work projects where some riders are given alternative transportation while others are not. And it's more than just a coincidence that areas of mostly white people and higher incomes get offered busing, while diverse communities such as mine are forgotten. I'm talking about the busing for Babylon branch riders for PSEG line work on overnights last week, and this past weekend where buses were offered for Long Beach and Far Rockaway riders, and looking ahead, seeing 2 weekends in May where buses are offered for Far Rockaway riders. But Westbury, Mineola, we don't get any buses. We get left stranded, told to find our own way without any shuttle buses that connect with train service at Hicksville or Floral Park. And speaking of Hicksville, where homeless have taken over the station, creating hazards for riders and no MTA presence, But Babylon has full-time patrols and is kept safe just because your white friends from Wall Street live there. You're supposed to treat all riders equally and fairly, but that is clearly not happening. It may be 2021, but it feels as if I'm talking to a transit board prior to 1955 in Montgomery, Alabama. You do not represent us. In a state as diverse as New York, most of you are white and seem to snub your nose at communities that aren't of your kind, being treated differently just because of the demographics of a community we live in. Really, in 2021, I can't help that I was born with a disability and cannot afford to live in these enclaves you care so much about. And we cannot let you get away with this anymore. Me and the team at Passengers United will continue to speak up about this discrimination. Thank you.
So there I am. And for some reason, I guess my face didn't show because I had to read from the screen. I was using my phone, and I put my phone as a webcam, so just so they could see my face, because that way I'd get a little more credibility. By showing my face, obviously, than just reading through just with audio. So I know.
Our next speaker is Vittorio Bugatti.
Good afternoon. I'm Vittorio Bugatti.
All right, this guy talks about dirty buses. We're not
chair,
taught by a mobility and orientation.
All right, we're going to try to get this.
I've read is about 300 homeless teens.
All right.
Expensive in me using cars or ride.
All right, go past
Speaker
this.
Is Stuart Mader.
More than 450 transit agencies in 45 states provide free transit to
Most of these people just represent a certain
simply require
demographic.
customers to show.
Requested this board to enable that.
This guy right here also had a very good point, and
$8.4 billion in American Rescue Plan relief funding for transit to the New York City metro area.
I can't
Mayor
forward
Fernandez,
the video too
FTA
much
Deputy
here.
Administrator, who recently confirmed that FTA funding programs can be used to set up and operate vaccination sites at transit facilities and support transportation to and from vaccination sites.
This guy actually was talking a little bit about this guy actually
takes time,
was making some
investment,
sense.
and
He was talking
relentless
about getting transportation to vaccine sites. Yes, so very good that he did that. This is something that we don't have in New York.
The opportunity
Other
arises
states
to
doing this, New
immediately
Jersey's
improve
doing
people's
this,
lives.
but not New York.
Join more than 450 of your peers nationwide and offer free vax transit for the next few months. Get shots in arms, beat the virus, and build ridership. Thank you.
Great
Our
job.
next speaker is H.P. Schroer.
I am HP, a World War II veteran and director of UMIWI, an organization representing 12,000 veterans attending college in New York City. For the last 4 years, we have requested this board to enable veterans to purchase MTA fares at the same price as seniors and have been turned down because of financial restraints. Pat, I want to thank you and the others on the board for your encouragement not to give up. We heard you and took action. 3 years ago, the mayor and New York City Council agreed to provide you with the money to enable veterans attending college in the city to purchase fares at half price. Unfortunately, less than 400 of the 12,000 eligible got the discount. Why? Because the mayor changed the eligibility requirements. I asked the mayor representatives on the board to explain why this was done and if it will be corrected, especially since the government has just given you and the MTA extra billions of dollars to help you with your finances. For those representatives of the governor, you too have received additional federal money. Yet 2 bills which allow all veterans to purchase MTA fares at half price have not been put up for a vote, in spite of the support of a majority of the legislators. I ask you why. And Pat, I ask you, on behalf of my fellow veterans, will you announce on Memorial Day that all veterans will be able to purchase MTA fares at half price? And if not, when will you? I thank you.
Our next speaker is
job.
Elon Berman.
We need to talk.
All right, so this is the next viewer that we have here. One of my viewers, actually, he got cut off, you'll see. But he also made some really great points, and they cut him off just before he was going to talk about the railroad not providing shuttle buses.
Talk about so many situations regarding public transportation in New York. The crime on the New York City subway is atrocious. There are trash cans exploding everywhere. There are people being pushed in front of oncoming subway trains, left, middle, and right. Just a day ago, I read that there was a guy with an AK-47 rifle at Times Square subway station. And there are Black people and Asians and so many other people getting harassed and beaten up and killed everywhere on the New York City subway. And it is driving the ridership down because everybody is just feeling unsafe, even waiting for 1 minute for a New York City subway in New York. They should not have to look left and right in fear to see if somebody unexpectedly assaults them. New York City subways are in desperate need of police officers. And switching topics, we also need police officers to walk around the clock in circles on buses, subways, and trains to see if everybody on board has their masks on and masks on correctly. If they have no mask at all, throw them off. If they are not covering their nose, ask them to cover their nose. If they refuse, throw them off. The masks must be taken seriously on the New York buses, trains, and subways, since we are all at a do or die situation. Next thing I will talk about is we need a lot more transportation in New York. The cars in New York are taking up the roads, and it is spreading unnecessary pollution to the New York air and is destroying the environment. What must happen is that the Long Island Railroad M3s must come back in passenger service. They may be old, but they are useful. There was 175 M3s in service before the pandemic. If we bring them back in service, that is 175 cars we can take off the New York roads. New York needs more transportation. If the R32 subways and the R42 subways are able to survive for 60 years, so should the Long Island Railroad M3s. Also, if there's a shutdown on the Long Island Railroad on any branch,
Thank you so much for your remarks.
See,
Mr. Chairman.
Do you see that? She was about to say, if there's a shutdown on the railroad, they should provide shuttle buses. Unfortunately, they only give 2 minutes, which is not enough. I think NJ Transit gives 5. She should have said, please conclude your remarks. All right. But she just cut them off like that. If it was Rachel Faust, she wouldn't do that because it's Rachel Faust, right?
Includes our public comment.
And that's it. That's all the comments. So a lot of people didn't make the cut. Charlton, once again, did not make them. We're going to feature him right now on here. And you'll also notice that this video is unlisted. It's not actually a public video. This is supposedly a public organization. But this guy that you're looking at right here seems to think he's the king of it. And I'm tired of you, Mr. Pat Foy. I'm tired of you. You are a disgusting human being. You are one of the worst MTA chairmen we've ever seen. You have violated so many rules, left people stranded, just because you are deputy county executive under Ed Mangano, who is a buddy of the governor, who put him there, who put you there to ruin public transportation in New York, because it wasn't enough that Ed Mangano ruined our bus service when he made it not so nice, right?
And thank all of our public speakers.
Right. Right.
I begin today acknowledging how important the events in Minnesota were yesterday, as the jury charged with deliberating the case in the murder of George Floyd delivered some measure of accountability.
Really? That's what you started? All right. I'm not even going to go there. All right. We don't even need to hear this buffoon talk. All right. Let's talk. Let's go to the other comments here that didn't make the cut here. All right, I got to go.
That are all being built.
Because they really don't make this easy to find. All right, you got to go here, and then you've got to go looking.
10 years ago,
all right, so this is the public comment section. So we got to see the first little bit there, but what we didn't.
We have 19 members of the public.
I didn't see Andy in there either.
Today.
I'm sorry, Andy.
Sorry,
Andy
but
P. I didn't see you in there.
Thank you very much.
In the first one.
Our next speaker is Andy Pollock.
All right. Good morning, Chairman Foy, members of the board. I'm Andy Pollock, Regional Director of Passengers United. So a couple things that I would like to discuss today. Number one, I'm very pleased to hear the announcement back on Monday regarding the Long Island Railroad experimenting with battery-powered trains. It's a good first step towards trying to help electrify other branches of the Long Island Railroad. So let's keep that up. My main point I want to discuss about the Long Island Railroad is the substitute busing situation. If you refer to page 122 of this month's committee book, you will see that there's going to be 2 weekends coming up of the main line being shut down again on the weekends of April 25th and the 26th and May 1st and May 2nd. I feel that it is inappropriate that you are making passengers take Nice Bus, which does not run 24 hours a day. That's completely ridiculous. And then making passengers go to Roosevelt Field Mall and waste more time.
Exactly.
You can easily run a bus on Old Country Road. It's a simple request, just making passengers go between Mineola and Hicksville for a start. We'll look at Carl Place in Westbury another time, but let's experiment with that. And lastly, I want to discuss New York City Transit. I have some good things to say for Sarah Feinberg this month. I'm very thankful that the C and F line service is increasing. That's very important because more riders are coming back, and especially 2 million subway riders. Let's keep that ridership number going up. Same with Craig Cipriano. Congratulations in the bus division with 1 million riders. So with that, thank you all very much, and I expect to be speaking to you all again before Memorial Day.
Our next speaker is Stuart Mader.
More than 450 transit agencies in 45 states provide free transit to vaccines to help their communities build immunity to COVID-19 as they rebuild.
Remarks. Our next speaker.
So this is ridiculous, all right, because he's going to address this right now. And like I said, it's ridiculous because they should play all the comments. They have 3+ hours to do this meeting. They can't play all the comments. Because the governor has waived basically our civil rights to speak at a public board meeting. This is ridiculous, and nobody seems to want to do anything about it because, again, Wall Street's behind it. Everybody's afraid to speak against Wall Street. Well, of course, I saved the best for last, and that is Charlton from Passengers United. Man, it's ridiculous. I think the team at Passengers United, we need to file a lawsuit against the MTA because this is discrimination and this is a violation of our rights. So here's Charlton's speech right now.
Is Charlton D'Souza.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Charlton D'Souza, and I'm the president of Passengers United. Yet again, I got bumped by the MTA, and this is getting ridiculous. And this is to Pat Foy. Pat Foy and the MTA board. Public speakers should be allowed to speak first, and elected officials should be, they should have a separate time for speaking. It's not fair. And this 30-minute rule where only 15 to 16 speakers can speak is getting a bit ridiculous now. New Jersey Transit allows people to call in live on a telephone, and they actually let all the public speakers speak, no matter how long it takes.
New Jersey cares about everybody.
The MTA board has to let people speak, and directors of organizations who are actually on the ground doing grassroots work should be given priority. But this whole 30-minute thing is ridiculous. And for the other public speakers on here, there's too many public speakers who don't even live in New York State coming on here. And there's too many public speakers selling things and things like that. It's getting a bit ridiculous. And we definitely at Passengers United are going to file a lawsuit against the MTA. And Racial Force, if you're listening, you need to also speak up for this as well as all the other advocates, because it's not fair. 15 speakers, 30 minutes, no. Everyone should be allowed to speak, and their testimony should be put on the MTA Live portal. And also with the Hollis station, the Hollis LIRR station is in a state of disrepair. It's one of the worst stations in the MTA system. The entire station needs to be rebuilt. The wooden platform is shaking. People are falling down. There was reports that a pregnant lady fell down the steps at Hollis. What is going on? The MTA just got all these billions of dollars, and now I'm finding out that the Hollis Long Island Railroad platform and station is being taken off the capital programs list. No, it needs to be completely rebuilt.
Thank you for your remarks. Thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, so there you go there, and that's pretty much it. But again, we are going to file a lawsuit against the MTA because this discrimination cannot continue. All right, I know this is all part of the plan to push us to New Jersey, where people like us are treated a little more fairly. But you know what? This is my home. I am not going to be driven out. None of our members are going to be driven out. We deserve to live here with safe, reliable public transportation. Everybody deserves those things, not just a certain demographic. And I'm going to continue to talk about it. We will not be quiet. Thanks for watching.